Welcome to Everyday English Adventures, where we explore stories to help you improve your listening skills. Today we have a captivating tale about a young woman named Clara, who found herself on an unexpected journey of self-discovery. Clara lived in a small, cozy apartment in the heart of a bustling city. Her life was a carefully constructed routine: work, gym, dinner, sleep. Day in and day out, the rhythm remained unchanged. She was good at her job as a marketing assistant, efficient and reliable, but deep down, a quiet whisper of dissatisfaction often echoed in her mind. She yearned for something more, something that would ignite a spark she felt had long been dormant. One Tuesday morning, as the city was waking up, Clara received an email that would subtly yet significantly alter the course of her well-ordered life. It was from her estranged Aunt Beatrice, a woman known more for her eccentricities than her presence in Clara's life. The subject line read, "An unexpected inheritance." Clara opened the email with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Aunt Beatrice, it turned out, had passed away peacefully in her sleep, leaving Clara a small, remote cottage in the Scottish Highlands. The email also mentioned a cryptic instruction: look for the key under the oldest oak tree. A jolt went through Clara. Scotland? The Highlands? She had never been further than a few hours' drive from her city. The idea of venturing into such a wild, untamed landscape was both thrilling and terrifying. Her logical mind immediately began to list all the reasons why she couldn't go: her job, her bills, her comfortable routine. But that quiet whisper of dissatisfaction grew louder, transforming into a persuasive voice. "What if?" it urged. "What if this is the something more you've been waiting for?" After much deliberation, Clara made a decision that surprised even herself. She requested a month's leave from work, booked a flight, and packed a single suitcase. As the plane soared above the clouds, leaving the familiar cityscape behind, a sense of liberation washed over her. This wasn't just a trip. It was an escape. A pilgrimage to an unknown future. Arriving in Scotland was like stepping into a different world. The air was crisp and clean, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. Rolling green hills stretched as far as the eye could see, occasionally punctuated by ancient stone walls and a lone sheep. A rental car, a sturdy little vehicle, became her companion as she navigated the narrow, winding roads toward the Highlands. The journey to the cottage was an adventure in itself. The GPS signal wavered, and Clara found herself relying on a printed map, a relic from a bygone era. She passed through quaint villages, where friendly locals offered directions with warm smiles and thick accents. The landscape grew wilder, the mountains more imposing, the lochs glistening like dark jewels under a vast sky. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she found it. Tucked away amidst a cluster of ancient trees, the cottage appeared. It was smaller than she had imagined, built of rough-hewn stone with a slate roof, its windows like eyes peering out from beneath the shaggy brow. It looked old, lived in, and full of stories. The first task was to find the key. Clara remembered Aunt Beatrice's cryptic instruction: look for the key under the oldest oak tree. She scanned the area, her gaze falling upon a magnificent oak, its branches gnarled and thick, its trunk wide and scarred with age. It stood like a silent sentinel, a guardian of secrets. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, Clara approached the tree. She ran her fingers along its rough bark, her eyes scanning the ground. And there, half buried in the mossy earth, was a small, intricately carved wooden box. Inside, resting on a bed of dried leaves, was a heavy, ornate iron key. The key felt cool and ancient in her hand. It was a tangible link to Aunt Beatrice, a woman she barely knew, yet who had, in her passing, opened a door to a new chapter in Clara's life. Unlocking the cottage door was a moment of anticipation. The air inside was cool and still, carrying the faint scent of old wood and forgotten memories. Dust motes danced in the shafts of light streaming through the small windows. The interior was simple but charming. A stone fireplace dominated one wall, a rustic wooden table stood in the center of a small kitchen, and a cozy armchair beckoned by the window. As Clara explored, She noticed small details that spoke of Aunt Beatrice's life. A collection of pressed wildflowers adorned a shelf, a faded tartan blanket lay draped over the armchair, and a stack of well-worn books about Scottish folklore sat by the fireplace. Clara felt a strange connection to this woman she had known only through stories and a few distant memories. The first few days were a blur of unpacking, cleaning, and simply being. Clara spent her mornings exploring the surrounding area, hiking along ancient trails, breathing in the fresh, clean air, and listening to the melodic chirping of birds. Her afternoons were spent reading by the fire, writing in a new journal she had bought, and simply observing the world around her. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Clara decided to build a fire in the old stone fireplace. It took a few attempts, but soon a warm, crackling fire filled the cottage with a comforting glow. As she sat by the fire, a strange feeling settled over her. It wasn't loneliness, but a profound sense of peace. The constant hum of the city, the endless demands of her job, the relentless pursuit of perfection. All of it seemed a distant memory. Here, in the quiet solitude of the Highlands, she felt a clarity she hadn't experienced in years. A few days later, while rummaging through a dusty old trunk in the corner of the cottage, Clara found a small, leather-bound journal. It was Aunt Beatrice's. Hesitantly, Clara opened it. The pages were filled with elegant, looping handwriting, detailing observations about the local flora and fauna, musings on life, and vivid descriptions of the changing seasons. One entry, dated many years ago, particularly caught Clara's attention. The true wealth of life lies not in what we accumulate, but in the experiences we embrace and the connections we forge. Sometimes, you must lose your way to find yourself. Clara reread the entry several times. Aunt Beatrice's words resonated deeply within her. She had been so focused on her career, on ticking boxes, that she had neglected the very essence of living. This trip, this unexpected inheritance, was proving to be much more than just a change of scenery. It was a catalyst for self-reflection, a gentle push toward a different path. One afternoon, a knock at the door startled Clara. She opened it to find an elderly woman with kind eyes and a warm smile standing on her porch. "Hello, dear," the woman said, her voice soft and melodious. "I'm Maggie, your neighbor from down the glen. I heard you arrived, and I thought I'd pop by to say hello and bring you some freshly baked scones." Clara, a little flustered, welcomed Maggie in. Maggie was a fount of local knowledge and stories, and Clara found herself captivated by her tales of the Highlands, its history, and its people. Maggie spoke of Aunt Beatrice with great fondness, describing her as a free spirit with a heart of gold. She explained that Beatrice had been a botanist, passionate about the local plants and herbs, and a respected member of the community. Over cups of tea and Maggie's delicious scones, Clara learned more about Aunt Beatrice's life, a life lived fully and authentically, far removed from the pressures of city life. She discovered that Aunt Beatrice had often taken long walks in the surrounding hills, collecting specimens and sketching. She had also been a talented artist, her watercolors depicting the beauty of the Highlands with exquisite detail. Maggie's visit was a turning point for Clara. It shattered her solitude, not in an unwelcome way, but by opening up a window to the community. She realized that she wasn't just an outsider observing. She could be a part of this vibrant, close-knit world. Inspired by Aunt Beatrice's journal and Maggie's stories, Clara began to explore the Highlands with a new sense of purpose. She bought a small sketchbook and a set of watercolors, trying her hand at capturing the breathtaking landscapes. Her initial attempts were clumsy, but with each passing day, she found herself improving, her strokes becoming more confident, her colors more vibrant. She discovered a hidden talent, a creative spark she hadn't known she possessed. She also started taking long walks, just like Aunt Beatrice, paying attention to the smallest details, the delicate patterns on a fern, the vibrant colors of wildflowers, the subtle shifts in the light. She began to identify different plants and birds, learning their names and characteristics. The natural world, once just a backdrop, now became a source of endless fascination. As the month drew to a close, Clara found herself facing a difficult decision. Her leave was almost up, and her old life in the city beckoned. But the thought of returning to her routine, to the endless cycle of work and commitments, filled her with a profound sense of dread. The peace she had found here, the connection to nature, the budding creativity. She didn't want to give it up. One evening, as she watched the sunset paint the sky in a blaze of glory, Clara made her decision. She wouldn't go back. Not yet, anyway. She would extend her leave, even if it meant a difficult conversation with her boss. She would stay in the cottage, learn more about Aunt Beatrice, and continue her journey of self-discovery. The next day, Clara called her boss. The conversation was, as expected, challenging. Her boss was disappointed, even frustrated. But Clara held firm. She explained, as best she could, the profound impact the Highlands had had on her, the sense of purpose she had found. To her surprise, her boss, after a long pause, agreed to extend her leave for another 2 months, on the condition that she would work remotely on certain projects. It wasn't ideal, but it was a start. Clara hung up the phone with a triumphant smile. It was a risky move, but it felt right. She was stepping into the unknown, embracing uncertainty, and for the first time in a long time, she felt truly alive. Over the next few months, Clara's life in the Highlands blossomed. She continued to paint and sketch, her art becoming a way of expressing her newfound connection to the natural world. She volunteered at a local community garden, learning about permaculture and sustainable living. She even started teaching English online to children in a nearby village, using her skills in a way that felt meaningful and rewarding. She also deepened her understanding of Aunt Beatrice. Through letters found in the cottage and conversations with Maggie and other villagers, Clara pieced together a richer picture of her eccentric aunt. Beatrice had been a woman ahead of her time, fiercely independent, deeply connected to nature and an inspiration to many. Clara realized that she was, in many ways, carrying on Aunt Beatrice's legacy, not just by living in her cottage, but by embracing a life of purpose and passion. The city, with its noise and its relentless pace, now felt like a distant dream. Clara had found her true home, not just in a physical place, but within herself. She had learned that true wealth wasn't measured in money or possessions, but in the richness of experience, the depth of connection, and the quiet joy of living authentically. As the seasons changed, painting the Highlands in new and vibrant colors, Clara knew that her journey was far from over. It was just beginning. She had traded her meticulously planned life for an adventure, and in doing so she had finally found the spark she had always yearned for. The whisper of dissatisfaction was gone, replaced by a quiet, steady hum of contentment. What about Clara's future? Will she ever return to the city? Will she become a full-time artist or a botanist like Aunt Beatrice? The story leaves us with a sense of possibility, a hint that Clara's adventure in the Highlands is just one chapter in a much larger, more exciting narrative. Her journey of self-discovery is ongoing, and the path ahead, though uncertain, is filled with promise. Thank you for joining us on Everyday English Adventures. We hope this story has not only entertained you,